Greetings to and croaky throat, a terrible start. Greetings to you all. Hope you're doing well. Thank you for coming onto the stream. I think the numbers have already gone down. There were 7, it's now 5. But anyway, great that you're here. Thank you. Yeah, couldn't quite get Glad all over. It might be possible that I could play it, but you get all sorts of emails from YouTube if you try those sort of things, Andy. So yeah, just one of those things. But I'm glad you're singing it, so that's great. So welcome to the live show. Lord Jeffrey Harrison has entered the room. Good evening all. And Jeff, I need to just confirm a couple of things about my Eastbourne visit, or our Eastbourne visit next week. Yeah, hope you're doing great. It's we're clinging on to the summer weather. It's going to change, but we're clinging on. Hi Sheila, welcome to you. Welcome to everyone. Remember, there is a leaderboard on this thing. The more you interact, the higher you climb up the leaderboard. I don't know what you might have to do specifically. Probably just what you're doing, which is the likes and the thumbs up, all those things. And then it'll sort of rank you based on that. And then Julie won it last time. So good evening, Magrat10. I need to do a mapping for real names versus YouTube names, so that's the thing with these modern social media world that we're in. So yeah, I did an impromptu recently because I was recording a tutorial for something else using broadly this software, screen flows and screen grabs and all that sort of stuff. So I just thought, well, I'll just go live, but it was an odd time. It was a Saturday afternoon, and do I want to let's put this on the screen. Do I want to take the shirt down that's hanging on the door? That's the latest model. That is the latest version of the Crystal Palace shirt. So no, that's staying put. Couldn't find anywhere else to hang it, I'm afraid. You know, that's the only place available. So yeah, so that's that. That's basically this, because behind my head is the cup final stuff. I've still got another ticket thing that I need to put on the wall. Right, so what has been going on? Well, been quite busy. It's always busy. What I want to lead with is that I've only just fully recovered from COVID. Sue had it a couple of weeks ago. It was inevitable that I was going to get it, and it was horrible. Worst, I think I've had it 3 times, and it was the worst. Some people have said, oh, why do you still test for it? Well, because my mum's very old and not very mobile and various other things. I want to know whether I've got it or it's just a cold, so that when I visit her, I don't visit her, and we have to make other arrangements. So yeah, COVID, horrible. If anyone has had this most recent strain, I sympathise. Glad to see the back of it. I'm feeling so much better today. It hung around for a bit. I didn't have any taste for about 3 days. You know, you basically eat texture and you don't feel you're getting any benefit from it. So absolutely horrible. Could have left the country. Graham and Karen are watching. Brilliant, thank you. And we got a hi from Merlin's cat. Hello there. Yeah, leaving the country. Well, that may not happen for a little while. So I'm going to usual format. There's a very loose agenda. I updated it on the YouTube page earlier. So I'm going to kind of broadly go around that. But as ever, feel free to dive in with anything else that you may want to discuss. And we'll just kind of adapt the agenda as we go. I really look forward to these little shows once a month. And we always seem to have a bit of fun on there. So that's great. So videos that went live, I've gone a bit mad. 3. That's pretty good for me, considering I've been not very well. Tatsfield Walk and Talk Part 2. So this was broadly a mop-up of, and before before we get others asking, if you can do a thumbs up, generally that helps algorithms and things. Yeah, so we did. It was a number of people had asked after Tatsfield 1 to do Tatsfield 2, and well, they didn't name it as Tatsfield 2. They just said, "Oh, you didn't do this, you didn't do that." So we gathered them all up and we went out again, and we put the band back together, as it were, and filled in some blanks. The weather wasn't as nice as it was. We had a nice sunny day for the first one, albeit that was in October last year. But it was okay. It was a summer's day. It was shorts and t-shirt, but it wasn't particularly sunny. And sometimes I put off filming if the weather's not quite right. I always aim for a nice sunny day. But anyway, Tatsfield done, tick. Never had COVID as far as you know. Well, that's the thing. You can have it very mild. You can almost have it asymptomatic. But I'd heard people say about the most recent bout, or strain, do they call it a strain? That when people had had the jab, they'd had quite a strong reaction in some cases. Our neighbours did. The thing is, I'm too young for the jab anymore. And there's still nonsense headlines about the whole thing. But anyway, I think I could have one, but I have to pay about 100 quid for it. So, but it was horrible. But yeah, some people have said so it may have been a stronger strain this time. So, don't know if you've managed to look at the Tatsfield video, whether you've got any interest in the Tatsfield video, but it's out there. Tatsfield Walk and Talk Part 2. Another shortish one that I put live, and it did have a lot of engagement very soon after, was Riddlesdown, the Anglo-Saxon cemetery. And the headline, which I was hoping would drive some interest to it, was the fact that every time you go up Mitchley Avenue, turn the corner down Downs Court Road, you're actually driving slap bang through the middle of an Anglo-Saxon cemetery, because burials have been found either side of the road. So we don't know the extent of that cemetery. We may never know the extent of that cemetery, but bones have been found in that whole area, really. And that was a nice little, lovely weather, nice little video to do. So yeah, I think it's one of those where there's the way development has taken place thus far, and probably will again in the future. You only really have one main opportunity to excavate and then call out. I mean, builders probably don't like doing it, calling out if they find some bones, but you have to. And then there's analysis done to find out what they actually relate to. So, yeah, quite interesting. I'd seen it on the map. I knew a little bit about it, the ancient history of Riddlesdown and the ditch. So I set out to tell that story. So that was good. Like that the ditch was still visible. Yeah, and it was quite a ditch as well. I mean, hard to get excited about a ditch per se, but it was noticeable, quite a kind of cut in the landscape there. And I think before, I always take a lot on myself, but before too long, although you can pretty much do it any time of the year, I'm going to have another walk around Riddlesdown. The walk I've wanted to do was one of the original trackways where you go down Tythe Pitchall Lane, where you do a left by the school. If you go straight on, that is an old route, and that joins up with the route that goes from kind of Whiteleaf to Riddlesdown, Purley area and beyond. I'm sure I'll find the right maps that help to show what that actually is, and then just do the walk. But it's all, it's nice that you can walk on that land, common land, well looked after by the City Commons team, and just generally open to the public. So yeah, really really nice. And again, a nice sort of angle on that other one because of the Anglo-Saxons. Linda from Kenley Aerodrome, we talked about doing something over the top there as well, although we talked about it about 2 or 3 years ago, but one day we'll get around to it. She's very busy, I'm busy. Just where there have been aircraft issues basically over the years, not just wartime, pre-war, between wars, of aircraft accidents, not really pre the First War because Kenley wasn't, anyway, between the first two wars. So that's something that we'll do, I'm sure, one day when we get the opportunity. The other video that went live last week was South Norwood Lake, which the good people of the channel had asked me to do and mentioned it. I think I initially wasn't aware of the fact that it wasn't part of South Norwood Country Park. South Norwood Lake is a completely different thing. So that video dropped last week. If you haven't seen it yet, have a little look at that one. It's not a long video. And the track I played on my outro is the track that I played at the beginning of this show on the countdown, which is Sweet as Honey by Gabriel Lewis, if you'd be interested. Actually, Andy, you mentioned about Glad All Over earlier. So I subscribe to a service called Epidemic Sound, or well, that's the company, and I pay them £200+ a year. And what that means is they'll clear me to use any of the music in their library to use in my videos, all royalties covered. There's a lot of times people say royalty free, but it's not quite how it seems. So, and the Epidemic catalogue, it's not just their own catalogue. So this particular track, for example, is on YouTube Music, it's on Apple Music, it's Spotify and everything. So it's all over the place. Gabriel Lewis as an artist must put this stuff on a number of different streaming platforms. So the nice thing for me is that by paying them, the artist will get a cut of that money. And there may be some other royalties and things that happen, but I basically plug in the fact that I've got certain channels that I would publish music to, and then they clear it so it's all legal and above board. There was one that I did once and someone said, oh, there's a sequence in that track that belongs to something they'd written. So I just emailed Epidemic and said, look, this person's kind of putting a bit of a claim on part of the track, and they cleared it. They just dealt with it. So it's a good thing to have, and sometimes with doing this stuff you just have to pay the money. And you know, I do thankfully get a little bit of money from YouTube. You get money per views, and it goes towards what I have to pay out every year, but it doesn't cover it. I'm at a shortfall. I give talks and stuff like that, and hopefully I've never really accounted to every penny, but broadly some talks and a bit of YouTube should cover most of what I have to pay out for. So what about one of my songs? No one will want to hear that. I didn't really, I think I might have attempted to write a song once, but I didn't really, it wasn't a thing for me. I just did cover stuff. But I know of people that do that. So video creators that I've seen on YouTube, and they just say, well, I don't need to subscribe to these services. I just write something myself, and you can just upload it. It's yours. You can do with it what you will. But I've not actually picked the guitar up for a while, so I must do that again. I've been looking at a lot of music on YouTube recently. You know, sometimes artists that I've enjoyed over the years, you realise there's this whole world of YouTube where they're all over the place. So I don't know what triggered it, but Level 42, Mark King, one of the best bass players on the planet. So I've been looking up his stuff, and he's done different interviews. Lovely guy, really comes across well. Christopher Cross did a brilliant album, and he was everywhere in the 80s. Michael McDonald, who great vocalist and keyboard player. I've just been looking at all their stuff, and sometimes, you know what YouTube's like, you go on one and then you're locked in. It's suggesting videos all over the place. So Merlin's Cat writes songs. You'll have to send some over and I'll have a go. That could be fun. Yeah, so I've never got rid of any of the gear that I used to gig with in the 80s. It's all still here. Most of it still works. I've not plugged in my Valve amp for a little while, but nowadays the box that this mic goes into to connect up to this, I can plug my guitar in there as well. So it's all very modern nowadays. The way you do these things, quite clever. The way things have moved on in a digital world. So what other things have I been doing? We got a new TV. When did this take place? Actually, this might have been the month before. and I might have mentioned it, so apologies if... But anyway, we had this line on the bottom of the screen, and then a second one appeared. So we decided to get a new TV because it was ridiculous. It was like looking at TV behind a rope. So that's that, another little thing. I've been doing some prep on... Another face appeared then. I've been doing some prep on a talk that I'm giving next week on Benjamin Beeson. Benjamin Beeson was a Sanderstead person. He was a Sanderstead policeman, but he was also in the charge of the Light Brigade. He survived, obviously. And I wanted to tell my version of the charge of the Light Brigade with a kind of modern take on assessing what happened. So I've been putting some slides together around that, and I'll be giving that talk to people next week. What guitars, plural, I've got a Fender Stratocaster, which is about 1978 original, obviously, and a Gibson Les Paul standard about 1980. Fender concert valve amp, and some random pedals, Roland and is it Boss, those kind of things. And they're probably all a bit rusty now, some of those. But yeah, so some nice hardware. I've got an acoustic which is an Echo Ranger. I remember buying that in the 70s. I bought that at Western Music in Croydon High Street. Long gone. So yeah, that was the fun of back in the day. I know if I think we're missing some regulars tonight. So there'll have to be some excuses and notes handed over for where they've got to. Declan and others perhaps doing other things tonight. Right, what else have we got? I've been visiting graveyards with purpose, and quite interesting. So I've got a story that's emerging. I did a post on YouTube about it. I did a blog on my website, which I'm going to start to do. Oh, hang on, I'm just going to break off. Remind me about graveyards. Right, so Rock Bottom, that would be Carl Nielsen, was it, Carl? Jeff, so I didn't know if you knew Carl. I think Carl's still around, actually. But yeah, I was a regular in Rock Bottom. When I worked in NatWest at Croydon High Street, probably the only bank now in Croydon, my lunchtime exercise would be to walk from the High Street along to West Croydon to Rock Bottom and just browse and, chat and stuff like that. So that was good fun. That would have been I was there, 83 to 87. And that's about the time I was doing a lot of gigs. Western Music, remember it well. Or Gibson SG, lovely guitar. A friend of mine had the same guitar. Terry, what's his last name? It'll come to me. Terry from Portsmouth, and we did a bit of kind of jamming and stuff. He was loading up his car in London after a gig, and the car was left unattended for a split second. His Gibson SG went for that split second. It's just gone forever. So Carl, nice one. Yeah, I mean, Carl must have been looking after that for like 50 years or something. Amazing. So yeah, graveyards. I've lost a few people. Maybe it's because I'm talking about graveyards, but it's part of research. So I'm doing this story on Woodside Court, and the story is basically going to be the basis of the story of Addiscombe, certainly the Addiscombe shops in Lower Addiscombe Road. But I wanted to find an angle for it, so it's going to end up being a house history of Woodside Court, because I found some amazing information about it. And I don't know if you know Addiscombe very well, but Woodside Court Road goes from Black Horse Lane round to Lower Addiscombe Road, and sort of parallel with it, the same kind of shape, is Tevan Road, goes from Black Horse Lane to Lower Addiscombe Road. Hi Julie, welcome. So John Tevan lived at Woodside Court, one of the residents there. And I did some research into him and his family and his background, and it took me to Queen's Road Cemetery. And I was looking round to find the grave. I'd seen pictures of it. And when I got there and found it, I saw that there was this huge buddleia shrub growing out of it. And the rootstock was, I don't know, size of a kind of cushion, basically, quite big. And there was a couple of young workers there, and they were brilliant, young lads there. And I said, what's the process to get something removed or pruned back? Do I have to go via the office at Mitcham Road, send an email, and I don't know, maybe pay for it? And they said, well, we'll have a look. So they came over and had a look at it, and they said, get the loppers. They got the loppers. They pruned it all down for me. So amazing. I was able to take proper photos, upload them to findagrave.com. Don't laugh, it is a thing. And also today I was out in Sanderstead, and on Find a Grave on the app, there's a thing where people have made requests per graveyard. They want to see photos of certain graves. So they put the details in of the deceased and their date of birth, date of death. I actually found one. It was only a short visit, and I had a chat to the church warden about where I can find others. So I've got this kind of odd, perhaps, sideline where it's linked to what I do, but it's wandering around graveyards, and it's some fascinating stories you can see there. So, but yeah, this won't be the only Addiscombe story that I'm going to do, by the way, this Woodside Court one, but it's quite a big one, because on old maps, other than the military academy, the other part of Addiscombe, and the farm in Addiscombe Road, there really wasn't anything. Like so much of this area, farms, fields, farm workers, stables, horses, and there was stabling, and there was a lodge for Woodside Court. But I won't reveal too much. There's a bit revealed in the blog if you want to have a look at that later. But it's one of those stories that I found that's quite something, because I think I've found some evidence of this house, and I think it's a good story to tell, to frame how Addiscombe grew up. So hopefully film that sooner rather than later. Because the interest in it, the research in it grabbed hold of me, I spent a lot of time at it. Late nights, early mornings, just Ancestry and various other sites, just to get the story. So if you're interested in Addiscombe, stay tuned. Yeah, cemeteries are fascinating. I was chatting to John Hickman from CNHSS. He does a guided walk over at Beckenham Cemetery, which is a very large one. He said there's quite a few quite well-known people buried there. So I might see if I can get along to one of those. And just popping back to Addiscombe. So in open house in, I think, a couple of weeks' time, it's on their website, there's going to be a couple of things happening in Ashburton Park about the buildings there, which there was a convent there and possibly a children's home. But anyway, some of the buildings still remain. There are references to some of the sites. So what I thought is, rather than do a massive amount of research, why don't I let them tell the story by going along to the walk? And you don't have to book for this. You can just rock up and at the times that they set, and then you can join in the walk and hear what they got to say. So that was something flies past me. That will be something to do as well. So that'll be the Ashburton Park and the building, because a few people asked about that. Then coming back, kind of going westwards, it'll be the Black Horse pub. Black Horse has been there for years. It was subject to a rebuild, but there's always been an inn there. Very often these were the only buildings, trading routes and so on and so forth. And then I'll probably get to that academy area, but there is some wonderful architecture around there. The other thing that was picked up on from the South Norwood video, someone made a very nice comment to say they were glad that I'm going north of where I normally go, north of Croydon. So I'm going to look to go to Grangewood Park, which is very near the Crystal Palace football ground. When I just look straight ahead of me from my seat at Selhurst Park, I see Grangewood Park going up the hill. Quite a nice park, council owned. It's got the remains of a stately home. There was a mansion there, and there's a kind of formal garden, and the boundary of the main sort of planting area in the garden is the exact kind of foundations for the mansion house that was there. So there's some stuff online about it, and I'll just bring my notes and have a little walk. What I thought I might do for that one is pick the autumn weather. So if I could get that sweet spot where there's still quite a few leaves on the trees and they've just started to change colour and they haven't all hit the ground and it's not raining or it's not cloudy. So that's what I'm looking for. If all of those things line up and I've got my notes, I'm going to whiz off with camera and cover Grangewood Park. So that's so gradually kind of, getting around to different places. So that's there might even be some more graveyards in there. But I was impressed with. This sounds terrible in some ways, but I was impressed with some of the plots at Queen's Road Cemetery. There's some big family ones. I found one where it wasn't really clear on the writing, but it mentioned, I think a relative of Joshua Alder, as in Alders of Croydon. There's Commonwealth war graves dotted around. I always have a glance towards those, a lot of First World War ones. But a lot of it, you just see massive expanses of grass where stones are worn away and that kind of thing. So you can't always easily see what you'd want to see there. So that's something that I've kind of got into a bit. So now I've got this app. In fact, Sue does know this. This isn't going to be a kind of where I promise to take her out for lunch, which is the plan. But we're also going to go to a graveyard as part of it, because the other part of the family that lived at Woodside Court, they all seem to be buried at St George's Churchyard in Beckenham, right by the car park. So that's perfect location to kill two birds. No, that doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. Excuse me, I'll have a little drink. And the water history will happen. If I had £1 for every time I said that. But I'll be honest, I feel I've got reasonably good energy to go out and do these things, right? But so, to show a good time. Exactly, come with me to the graveyard, help me look for said graves, and then we'll go and have a pizza. I mean, that's a great deal. Where are we? Water history. I've lost my tangent. I've lost my thread already. But anyway, so the water history will happen. Absolutely going to happen. I keep seeing things popping up online. There's been an English heritage thing recently highlighting the pumping station in Surrey Street and what might happen to that. The building, the shell of the building. So I think it's only right that I take the notes that I already have and go out and do it. Yes, going back to so I feel my energy levels are normally pretty good for going out and doing my walks. You've seen where I've climbed hills and things on country walks in the past. I also think you need a certain amount of, I don't know if this is a thing, right, but I'm going to call it brain energy, whereby you need a certain amount of keenness in the brain to open up the laptop and dive into something and make notes and read books and mark pages and all that kind of stuff. And this COVID thing, no chance of that happening, because I thought, actually, all right, I'm not going to go out anywhere. I feel rough, but surely I could do a bit of research. I mean, I did a tiny amount, but I don't think my productivity was any good at all, anything like how I would like it to be to do proper research. So, and I just got the tutorial out before the COVID hit me, so that was good, because it meant others could then refer to the tutorial that I mentioned earlier and then get back to me. So pizza is the highlight, absolutely. Well, we used to go to a pizza restaurant in Beckenham, Sapore Vero, which is actually right next to the churchyard or over the road from, and we don't think we've been there since COVID. It's still there. They've also got another big restaurant in Crystal Palace, just along from the park at the top there and the subway. So yeah, hopefully they're still pretty good. Nowadays you go on to any of these websites and it's all about Deliveroo and Uber Eats and that. I mean, I just want to go to the restaurant. So had another person joined. Hello, whoever you are. Say hello in the chat. Anyone got access to the leaderboard? Anyone know who's who's surging ahead? But Ramsey did a screenshot of it last time, so I was able to see the reality of it. But yeah, picking up on that open house. So the website's sort of up and running now. They've got various entries in there. You can search by neighbourhood. Unfortunately, the Peter Cushing house isn't in there. I think it's been in there for the last few years, but I've never got in early enough to get tickets. Now, it could be that they didn't offer many tickets, and maybe now they're just not able to, or don't want to actually show people around the house anymore. I don't know, which is a bit of a shame. But that is I live down Rose Walk, next door to Francis Rossi's. Right, okay. So just going back to one of Jeff's earlier comments. 13 people watching, so behave. It's gone down to 11 now. 12. Oh dear, people are coming and going all over the place. So, yeah, what else has been going on? Oh, Sarnstead History Society. We had a situation there where one of the guys that looked after it, he passed away quite suddenly. So we've been doing some stuff to get the website and talks and that up and running again. It's a nice little group, that Sarnstead History Group. We meet last Wednesday of every month, except August and December. So the next talk coming up at the end of September. So I've been doing some work on that. I don't know where I get time for all these things, but you have to find them. Peter Cushing, non-canonical Doctor Who. There you go. Indeed. Yeah, so that's that. Now, I'm just trying to think. I think I prepared reasonably well for this. I think I've covered the main things. But I was also going to check, because my list of videos that's not coming up, so I'm going to look on my phone. I had a couple of notes recently from people asking about places to add to the list. So, West Wickham, lady from West Wickham got in touch. Do I do guided walks? And I thought, that's an interesting idea. So we had a little chat. So I haven't done a talk on West Wickham. I've done the video. I've got the material. I said I could do a walk, but maybe she was going to have a chat and engage with the members of the group about putting that together. So I quite like that idea, because the research that I've done to film a walk, pretty much the same as the research I would do if I was talking to people as I went round. Fairchilds we spoke about in a previous one. That's something I've got to do. Yeah, Addiscombe, Ashburton Park, walk and talk at Military College. Spletchingley, still need to sort that out. We had some discussions about Caterham cars. Caterham Old Park is something I'm looking to try and do something on. Gwyneth Fuchs sadly passed away recently. Gwyneth was such an important part of local history, heavily involved in the Bourne Society. She was formally recognised for all of her work, local history, and very sad that she passed away recently. So I'm kind of, as a bit of a tribute to her, seeing if that was one of her passion projects over her life, was Old Park in Caterham. So I'm going to see what I can do there. When the weather works. I was having a chat with Martin Mance about a few different places around Croydon, little pockets. So there's more to do there. Oxted and Limpsfield. Graham and I have been talking about that recently. Grangewood Park I mentioned earlier. Right, catching up on the chat. Guided walks, yes please. Brilliant, that's good. See, it's hard in a video that might have a specific purpose to throw out things. I know I do. Most of the time I will throw out in a video, can anyone help on this or that? Does anyone know more about whatever, wherever we are? But also by doing this kind of thing, either for people that hear live or people that would look at the replay, I can ask you, the people that have an interest in stuff that I do, what would you like to see? So you've helped to shape the list of things that I've just referred to, the ever-growing list. I think for every one that I do and produce a video for, I might add another couple in. But I prefer to work like that. I don't just do, they're not done one at a time, sequentially. They're done asynchronously, or whatever the word is. The research is done in parallel for all of them. I'm probably making up all sorts of nonsense. So guided walks, thank you, Julie, for that. I mean, I could do some test walks because, again, I've got all this stuff that I've done before. So I could easily just take a group out and say, would you come along and we'll just go for a walk, hour and a half, end up in Costa, and then get some feedback, does it work? So good evening, Cheeky. Good evening, Peter. And we've got Mark on. Hi, Mark. Thanks for joining, mate. And congratulations on getting your 3,000 subs a couple of days back. Great to hear. I'm gradually catching up. Probably not, actually. I think we're probably about the same difference all the way through the journey. But, hey, it doesn't matter, does it? If we're doing what we like doing. Sheila, what about Thornton Heath? Yes, again, loads of history there. What helps in this situation, what I've mentioned before, is that sometimes local groups put together a walk on a website or maybe a Facebook page. Send me those walks, because then half the research is done. I've done that so many times already. And even if it's an old one, I was looking at some 50-year-old walks the other day with a meeting with CNHSS. So send them on and I can make sense of them, go out and record them. So that's cool. Merstham had a nice history and a great church and graveyard, St Catherine's. Now, not been down there yet, haven't been that far yet. Merstham's probably something that Mark has been to, I would imagine. He's certainly done loads more in the wider Surrey area. Guarded walks. I'll follow you in the car. Yeah, quite. Not in your lorry anymore. Westerham would be a good walk and talk. Yeah, I've been looking at doing that one as well. There is some water features in Westerham, isn't there? There's some pumping stations and boreholes and things like that. And I walked fairly near there when I did the Limpsfield, looking for the airstrip in the field, ending up near the Titsy sites and reference to the Roman sites. So Westerham is going to be something that I'll add to the list. I'm going to refer to this chat later and just write all these in. What else have we got? Caterham Viewpoints, Gravelly Hill. Yeah, I've looked at all this. On Facebook, those of you that are on Facebook, look up Urban Countryman. Absolutely fantastic guy. He does a lot of work on various installations around the countryside, chestnut fencing and digging holes and repairing things. But he's got this wonderful site. He's got a very keen eye with his photography. It may just be that he's got a nice iPhone or something, but his composure and his subject matter and his lighting is spot on. He's got thousands of followers, but it's all the local stuff. So Urban Countryman, absolutely thoroughly recommend him. And when he's been to places like Gravelly Hill, that's helped me to think, yeah, I wouldn't mind some of that. So get more hits. Yeah, I know it probably all works itself out in the wash, Mark, because you do more videos. But yeah, it's as I say, this is a great thing to do. I think I like you, there's other things that we do with our time, but this is a great bit of fun, and in some ways, if it does entertain and even educate and inform, then that can only be a good thing. Upper Norwood and Beulah Hill, amazing history. Do you know what? Some of the properties. So again, sitting in my seat at Crystal Palace and looking up on the top of the hill, there's this huge Victorian property that takes the eye. Now it might be, I'm guessing now, maybe a care home, something like that. But it's right over the road from Grangewood Park, so I will be covering that off. And the views must be incredible. I mean, if it looks great looking up to the house, I'm assuming it looks just as good looking down. And I kick myself that in my X number of years on the planet, I've never managed to go and visit those areas. They're so close. I've been to Selhurst Park, I don't know how many times. So maybe one day, or soon, we'll be able to cover that off. So, what else have we got? Overlapping our locations and videos, better knowledge, local history. Yeah, I mean, Mark, you're definitely the church guy, absolutely. And I think basically follow Mark, and then you'll get between us, I think we cover a lot of ground of interest to this community, and we've got common followers, I'm sure. But it's and we are going to meet up. We'll do some kind of collab or something very soon. That'd be great fun. Right, Andy, do I think the Walling Park Residents Association would let you in the gate and walk around? Love to see what's in there. Do you mean the cemetery at Great Park, Andy? Because that's the bit that's kind of closed off. Great Park itself, I can get in because I know a few people that live there. And it's a very nice place. Again, all the history of the Wallingham Park Hospital site, of course. And what else we got? Well, I didn't know this. Mendelssohn lived on Beulah Hill, and a house there where electric light was first used, Little Men Lure. Of course, we had Joseph Swan, who lived at Overhill in Wallingham, inventor of the first incandescent bulb, commercially available incandescent bulb. Collab Defo. There you go. It's going to happen. It's on the record now. We often will interact and say that we should do this, but we will. I'll message you or WhatsApp you. My links are all in the corner. No, this side. Trying to do this in reverse. Basically, that if anyone wonder what's that all about, that QR code. If you're on your phone, it's going to be harder to do, but it's basically all of my links are on that site. So. So you mean the water tower in the middle, Andy, where the clock is? I'm assuming. No, I mean, I think the layout of the houses was broadly to match the layout of the hospital buildings, I think. For me, one of the incredible things for Wallingham Park was that the patient records were retained and available at Bethlehem Hospital. So I've used those for research, and amazing resource. Obviously, there's certain channels you have to go through to get to them, but David Luck is the archivist there. Really good. So you can see St Heliers Hospital from the Beulah Spa pub. St Heliers stands out, doesn't it? It's that big white building, and you can see it from Addington Hills, can't you, from the viewpoint now? And you can see the Wembley Arch from Addington Hills on a clear day. So yeah, that's something. Again, you're right. Altenburg Eagles, when you spoke earlier. I need to get to some of those upper areas of the borough, get some views, and then work out some of the stories around there. I'm always fascinated by some of those huge Victorian houses, though. I kind of, in my mind, imagine the big families, loads of staff, very different way of life to what we see today. The road layout has changed. It would be interesting to overlap old maps with a new layout. Well, that's something I can do. In fact, what I might do a screen share. Just going to see if I can line it up. Not Westhall Park, Wallingham Park. So I'm going to talk to you and still try and find the Wallingham Park location, because that might be an interesting one to tell. Wallingham, Harrow Common, Cruisewood, Cruise Farm, Wallingham Park, there we go. Right, so let's make that a bit bigger and then share my screen. Okay, Wallingham Park Hospital. So this is a map from 1910. Hopefully you can see in the middle there, this is the boundary of the hospital. Let's get rid of some of these other things here. In fact, let's see if this works. Right. So that is the whole boundary. Well, it was called Croydon Mental Hospital. It was Wallingham Park. And if we just move the little slider here, we have Great Park today. So I'll try and just go in a you yeah, there's some relationship between the footprints. So if you think of that boundary road here, going all the way round, and then we've kind of got the similar thing still round there. So I guess there's a see your old house. Yeah, sorry. So that's what I thought you mentioned earlier, was the cemetery area there, which is behind a lock gate, which is about here somewhere. And then I'll just go back, I'll zoom in. That's the water tower there, right in the middle, and that remains. Oh, that's how it was then. So yeah, so that's I can do something. Again, I might have to do a bit of a kind of web thing on my blog, or I could try it doing a post. This kind of gives you different flavors. You can do a side by side, but I think I quite like doing this overlay. As you can tell, because I find a way of doing it in pretty much every single one of my videos, but it just helps to tell the story, I think. And again, when I do the Woodside stuff, you'll get an idea there. So right, what else have we got on the chat? Old Cricket Pitch and Bowls Club, where you spent many Saturday afternoons. Gypsy Hill and Knights Hill, both good spots. Right, I'm going to ask for some homework, guys. Can you send me? I mean, you can send me an email. I'm on WhatsApp, whatever works for you. Can you send me some of these suggestions for things that I might be able to weave into a story or a series? Because that'd be really good. Maybe I've got an untapped set of potential fans, supporters, subscribers in that part of the area. So overlapping. When we meet up, mind you, at Walling Park Hospital. Jeff, I think you told me some stuff before about the Pinnell House, which I did some research into when I was at the archives, which is I think it was the alcoholic dependency unit. What software am I using? Well, this is, I'll tell you what I'm going to do. Copy and paste. Right. I've just put a link into the chat, and that is the website that I use. It's the National Library of Scotland. So normal website, and what it does is, using that geo-referenced, there's a number of different options, but that geo-referenced option, you can do it as a side-by-side or you can do it as an overlay. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but there's some very good guidance notes and tutorials on the actual web page, on their site itself. So yeah, don't be confused by the fact that it's National Library of Scotland, because it covers the whole of the British Isles, possibly some of Europe as well. It has been, if I said what's the single thing of value that I've had since I decided to do this stuff, it's probably that website. The ability to say what was there before and what's there now. Not all the maps can be overlaid on one another, but you can select that. I might need to do a tutorial on the site one day if it's, or I just dedicate one of these, if there's enough interest, I would just dedicate one of these shows to how I use this stuff as part of the research. But it's quite incredible. Sometimes I'll be out and about, I'll see something that looks old, come back on here, and you can go do a today view, go back, and it might just be that there was nothing there, or it could be that it was part of something much grander. And that might be, well, an example would be Park Hill Road, the Leicester House post. I was able to build a whole story there for a short video. So right, originally the isolation bit for those, yes, it was because it was separated from the main hospital. It was kind of in the piece of land just off Harrow Road. Pinnell House, it was nearer to Harrow Road than obviously the main building, but over time I think they had some pioneering medical experts there, and it became the alcoholic dependency unit, and then, well, the story with the whole hospital is care in the community and that kind of thing came over, and so many of these establishments went. Sadly, a lot of the buildings went with them. Don't get me started on my architectural, romantic, historical thing, because I'll never stop. Daniel's Lane, that's right. I did do, which walk was it I did? I did a walk around Farley Road, walked through the fields, pointed out the airstrip, which is, I think it was used for, I can't remember the name of the flying club now, but all over the back there between Farley and Chelsham Common. And I did a bit of a walk there near Great Park. So Jeff's just WhatsApped me. I'm on Do Not Disturb, but for you, Jeff, I'll have a very quick look. Right, okay, I'll get back to you later on that for our special meetup. Phil Swallow no, we're just going to meet up in Eastbourne. I did walk down the bottom lane. I've got a playlist of country walks. I did one per month for a year, and I did walk from Featherbed Lane past Farley Golf Course. It was a lovely frosty sunny day, beautiful it was, and then it was a bridle way, very muddy, all the way down towards Great Park, and then you sort of skirted along Great Park, got lost in some woods, nearly fell down a badger's hole, ended up at Farley Green, and did a loop all the way round back to the Scout Frylands Woods and back onto Featherbed Lane. I think it was the first one I did. It was a sort of wintry country walk, really nice fun. Information on Wadden Marsh Fever Hospital at Beddington. It's one of those I've done some research on, but I haven't added it to my list yet. I remember where it was. I remember of it. There was an eye hospital. Was that a different building? Wadden Eye Hospital. A mate of mine went there for some treatment a few years back, many years back, and I remember we visited him. But there's a website where they I don't know if it's just local or whether it's national, but it's the history of all old hospitals. So it actually had some stuff about the one locally to here, Featherbed Lane. So with a lot of this stuff, I'll accumulate it all and list it all, but it really depends on the dependency on me and my own personal bottleneck as to whether I can get out there and do something with it. I won't say I get in my own way sometimes, because there's other things that I do, family stuff and mum stuff and commitments to Bourne Society, CNHSS, where I'm a council member. So I do stuff as part of a committee, if you like. So it's quite hard to do any more videos, but I try and put at least a couple of months out, and this normally is once a month, and then some random other stuff in between. So when your sister was in isolation when she had scarlet fever donkeys years ago. Blimey, I saw a very sad story about scarlet fever. I won't reveal too much about it now, but it's related to one of the families that lived at the Woodside Court Victorian house. So that's something that I will factor into that story. This is going to be a bit like the Windy Ridge story. So it was the house that wasn't there that long, but there were some very prominent families that lived there. One was a surgeon, Harley Street surgeon. And there were some interesting things about what happened towards the end of the house's existence. So again, I'm going to make that into a sort of hopefully an entertaining and engaging story for you, and hopefully get it out there fairly soon. Not been filmed yet. In fact, that was the only good thing about when I was feeling rough last week. I'd already filmed South Norwood Lake when I was well, and then I was able to chip away at the editing and get that live last week. So yeah, we got that's good to know, Julie. Yeah, this other scarlet fever story that I had wasn't so good in terms of an ending. but it was in Victorian time, so a bit more of a challenge then. Okay, right. Well, doesn't time fly when you're having fun? We've kind of got to the rough hour or so that these normally go to. Is there anything else that you wanted to ask me about, throw in, suggest, complain? Oh no, I don't want complaints. The deadline for complaints expired yesterday. Sorry. Anyone seen the leaderboard? Who's topping the leaderboard? Andy McGarty, I think, is going to be my bet. I think there's some sort of toggle at the top of the chat thing, and you can sort of have a chat view or a leaderboard view. I don't see the same version using this software. So, yeah. So let me know if there's anything else. Other than that, whilst I've got a countdown timer for the start of the show, I haven't got a countdown one for the ending of the show. Sheila's top. Nice one. Well done, Sheila. Maybe if you hit the like button about 30 times, that might put you to the top. Number 2. All right. There's no prize. The prize is just that at the end of it all, it'll be frozen in time. Someone will be at the top, and you can do with that what you will. I don't think they have a leaderboard of leaderboards or anything like that. Maybe we could create one. Yeah. So, right. Well, I will, I think, say goodbye. Did I mention this earlier? But the reason I picked that slightly, Ramsey's just joined. You just joined in time for me to close off the chat, Ramsey, the show. Right. Don't forget to have another test before you meet me. I'm not going to kiss and cuddle you. Actually, I threw the test away, but it was most definitely clear. I think you get a bit of immunity, don't you? Is it 90 days or something? But how will Palace do this season? Going to miss it, Eze. They need to buy some players soon. You're never going to replace like with like. But the manager's so good. He gets them so well organised. But we need more bodies. So I think if we can get 2-3 players in before the end of the window, cheers, Mark, then who knows? If we edged up a couple more places, if we could, we're always 12th. This is Palace owned 12th position in the Premier League. If we could get into a single digit, and I'd take 9th, to be honest, then that'd be progress, I think, beyond what we had before. Yeah, see you in the next one. Yeah, Sheila's winning, unless someone came in late. Yeah, sorry, Ramsey. We just kind of just getting to the end now, so feel free to have a listen to the replay. I did a bit of a screen share. In fact, I would recommend you have a look at the screen share, because we covered Wallingham Park Hospital and Great Park then and now. So there'll be some chat stuff about that. So feel free to comment after the fact on the video when that's live. Take 15th. Yeah. Now, I just hope that they've got irons in the fire. I hope they get some players in. The window has only got 5-6 days left now. They've got to do this. Otherwise, it could be problematical. So, Glasner's probably going to go at the end of the season. He hasn't signed an extension. I've got a feeling he wants to go back to continental Europe. So he may not even stay here and look for a Premier League team. I think he might say, really pleased what he did at Palace, and he can hold his head high. But I think he might go back to the Bundesliga or something back in Europe. 18 people watching, just 3 thumbs up. I've got 9 on here, thumbs up on my other little. But anyway, so well, I'm going to say the usual thing. The music anyway. The music for today's show was what I played in the outro for the South Norwood Lake video, and I liked it, so I thought put that in. So anyone who joined late, you might have watched the countdown, because it's a very nice piece of music called "Sweet as Honey" by Gabriel Lewis, and I sound like a radio DJ, but I'm going to now sign off and say once again, thanks for your participation. Oh, I normally type it in, don't I? Thank you all once again. Good players needed. Son is depressed at the thought of losing OG. Yeah, I think he might go. But anyway, yes, look after yourselves, and I'll see you in the next one.